Hi, thanks for joining me today. It's Jan Clothier from Thinking Stamping, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator based in New Zealand. Now, if you've been a regular follower of mine, you'll have noticed that I've been on hiatus for quite a lot of this year. I am just popping back in to do a few things between now and Christmas because, Christmas always gets your creative juices flowing a little bit, doesn't it? So I'm going to the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to share 2 or 3 cards with you that are fairly easy to make but look like you've spent a bit of time on them. So they're the kind of card that you could make in multiples and send out to people without it taking you hours and hours and hours, but people might think you'd taken hours and hours. So this is the first one, and it uses the Decorative Trees bundle, which is one of my favourites from this year's Christmas catalogue, or the mini September to December mini. And I'm just going to pretend like you've come to one of my classes, and I'm going to show you the kit which I would provide for all my class attendees, and I'm going to tell you what, so basically that's what do we need to make this card, and then we'll just show you how easy it is to go together. So you'd get a little packet. If you came to my class, you'd get a little packet with everything ready to go. So obviously you've got an envelope that you can decorate or not as you like. We've got a base of Granny Apple Green. And then we have, which I've cut this at 14.5 by the width of a piece of A4 paper, which is 21 centimetres, so it's scored at 10.5. But if you use imperial measurements, just use whatever your standard card-sized base is and adjust the other things accordingly. So there's that. Then I have got a piece which is going to mat onto the front, which is 1/2 centimetre or about 1/4 of an inch smaller. So it is 10 centimetres by 14. I've got a piece in basic white that's the same size, 10 by 14, which is for the inside of the card. So I'll just pop that aside for now. I've got a little piece of basic white, which is 11 by 7. And I've got a scrap of garden green, a scrap of pecan pie, and I've got a piece of the lovely festive glimmer paper, which is part of the September to December catalogue, and it comes, you get a pack with 6 sheets, 2 each of this Granny Apple Green, 2 of a garden green and 2 of cherry cobbler, and I have used up an entire packet of it already. Now what I have done, which is optional, I have attached the double-sided adhesive to the back of it, so this will become a sticker. But you could, if you haven't got any of that, you could just equally just use glue very carefully, and we'll show you what we're going to do with that. So that's all the stuff you need, and then putting it together. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to take this piece and we're going to emboss it. Now I've used the this one, the Forever Plaid 3D embossing folder, but if you don't have that, again you could use something else that you like the look of. Now the piece of basic white that we had, what I've done with that is I have taken the Everyday Details dies, and I've taken the largest of those and cut it out, and what you get if you do that is you get this lovely little dotty edged panel here. So this has become that. Now these 2 bits are for making our lovely little Christmas tree. So in the die set, the Decorative Trees die set, you get this tree outline. Now very handily it matches the tree stamp, but you can also just use it to cut out a basic tree. And so that's what I've got here. I've just cut out the tree. And then the really cool thing about this set, which is the reason why I love it so much, is you get all of these little decorative overlays that you can use. Now, as you can see, there are 2 sizes. The large, which fits all of these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dies fit the whole tree, but there are these 2 which give you a smaller portion of the tree, and it's you can choose whichever of those you're going to use. That die there gives you that pattern there, which is kind of holly and berries and lovely things here. And this one's got a sort of a more modern funky feel. It's a bit more, swirly whirly. And I have in fact cut that out already. Now, if I was not using the adhesive glimmer paper, what I would have done is I would have aggressively attacked the back of the die with my die brush, and all of these little bits would fall out. But what usually happens, and what I hope is about to happen now, is that when you peel off the adhesive backing, she said, what hopefully will happen is that all of those bits are going to pull off, or most of them are going to pull off with the backing, and so that makes getting, you know, all of the fiddly faddly bits out pretty easy, because we've now just got a couple of little poppets that we can just pop out with our pokey tool, or take your pick tool, as people other than me would probably call it. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're just going to, because we've already got sticky on here, we're just going to start at the top, work our way down. Now, until you press it firmly, you've got wiggle room, so I'm just going to attach it lightly and have a look at the back. Yep, and now I'm pretty sure that's where I want it to be, so I'm just going to give it a firm press so it doesn't part ways at an inopportune moment. And what we're going to do now is we're simply going to trim off the excess of the tree. So we're just going to use a bit of judgment to just trim off that little bit there. Now, this little fiddle-faddle bit is here so that we can have a little tree stump for our tree. Now, there is a die that cuts that. This little die here, as you can see, it cuts out a fat one and a thin one. And I have somewhere on my table, yep, here it is. I'll have one already cut out. Now, how you attach that is entirely up to you. You could glue it, you could use tape, you could use tape runner. What I'm going to attempt to do is to use a glue dot. So I'm just going to flick off a glue dot, she said, hopefully. I'm going to pop it on the back there, and then I'm going to attempt to line it up. And now I've got my lovely little tree. And I'm going to pop it there so that I can see where I've got room to stamp my sentiment. Now, this set's got some lovely sentiments. Season's greetings, a very Merry Christmas for you, oh Christmas tree, and may your days be merry. And I've used the season's greetings for about 50 cards, lots of cards. I've used that quite a lot. I've used that reasonably a lot. And oh Christmas tree, no, I haven't actually used that at all yet. But maybe one day I will. Okay, so I'm going to use pecan pie, just because we've got a lot of green going on, and I've now got a little hint of pecan pie in my tree stump. So now the pressure is on, because I'm going to have to ink it up and try not to muck it up. Okay. I'm just gonna, I might actually come down here, so you may end up unfortunately seeing my head, but we shall see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yes, there we go. Right, so we've got our season's greetings, and now it's purely a matter of assembly. So we don't need that one. So glue, oops, should have checked that my glue was running before I started the camera, but yeah, well. Haven't done that either. Now, if you happen to live in New Zealand and you see anything that I used today that you would like to add to your craft stash, you are more than welcome to shop with me. And there's a link to my online store in the video description below, and the information which is going to pop up at the end of this video. But that's only if you live in New Zealand. Okay, now, you know that I like glue because it gives me wiggle room. And since I'm doing green on green, that's also going to be quite good in terms of hiding any mistakes. Now, there's two things you can do. What I've done here is I have dimensionaled the white panel but stuck the tree straight onto the card. Just for a bit of variety and just to see if it makes a difference, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do a double whammy dimensional. I'm going to dimensional on both the white panel, the actual white panel, and I'm going to dimensional the tree just to see if it makes a difference to the final look. Because, you know, sometimes you do things and you wonder why you've done it. Other times you do something little, like use dimensionals, and you end up making something look a whole lot better. Right, so tricky bit, get this centered. Now again, until you tap it down and press it firmly, you've got room to move. So does that look straight and centered? Yes. So now I'm going to pat it down. And then, in the interests of scientific experimentation, I'm going to now dimensional the tree as well, and we shall see if it looks any different, or more importantly, whether it looks any better. Okay, so we'll flick him off. Okay, and here's my tweezers. Okay, let's see if we can get that in. Yep, I think that's good. Right, and so there is the comparison. So that is the same card, but I've used both of the smaller tree dies that the set comes with. That one is that one, and that one is that one. And in this instance, I've dimensioned the tree up as well as the background panel. So if you come to make one of these, then you can choose which way around you like the look of it. Oh, and what did I do on the inside? Well, I kept it very simple because remember, I'm thinking about these cards as being ones that you can crank out in multiples. And I think you easily could. You know, if you were going to make 5 of them, you'd just stand there and crank out 5 embossed fronts. You'd make 5 trees, cut out 5 of those, and then just sit down and make them all. So what did I do on the inside? Keeping it simple, I did that. I just took that little star stamp there, and I just repeat stamped it in Granny Apple Green. Anyway, I hope that card is going to be useful to you, and I hope you're going to make some. If you do, I'd love to see them. So please, you know, feel free to communicate with me and show me what you do with this idea. Don't forget, if you live in New Zealand, that you're more than welcome to shop with me using the links in the video description below, or the ones that are about to pop up. If you haven't subscribed to me, please do so, because although I haven't been around a lot this year, I will be around a bit more in the coming months. And above all else, everyone, happy stamping.